WFMZ. Let me start over.
Dude, this is the first time we've had a false start in a long time. Yeah, the SAC FLY only on 96.9 WFMZ.
Hello. We are back. My name is Dick Playoff Richards, and I'm joined by my good friend Gord Simmons. You know where we are. We're here on the radio talking hot takes, talking music. I always say that, Gord.
He's off his rock over here after 30 years.
Well, I'm just happy to see you again, man. Every day's a blessing above dirt. Every day above dirt is a good day, and I'm just thankful to be here talking, getting everybody through the rush hour. I know it's tough when you're out there, driving through the cities and whatnot, and
Bumper to bumper.
yeah, bumper to bumper. But we're happy to be here, and as you know, we are 96.9 WFMZ, the SAC Fly, and we're excited to talk some good current events in the sports world. It's crazy out there. Baseball's picking up, basketball's getting into the heat of it. We got March Madness going on. Football season, everything's kind of bumping around, and we're just getting going here. Brand new year, 2026.
I'll tell you, Dick, so much has changed since we first started out on the beat writing beat out there. We've been beating it together for over 30 years, but the one thing that's the same is that we bring our heater every single time we go on the airwaves. You mentioned you were blessed to be here, and I got to tell you, at our age, it's surprise enough we wake up every morning. So definitely blessed to be here.
Yeah, it seems to get harder. It gets harder and harder every day to put on my pants. I got to sit down. Every day I got to sit down to put my socks and my pants on. But
I'm telling you, it's tougher, and then the gout starts flaring up, and your back's going, and my rotator cuff, everything.
Oh, don't get me started with the shoulder problem.
Those rotator cuffs, man.
They said, it wouldn't be a problem and just to push it back, but short-term game for long-term punishment is kind of what you're dealing with in sports. Yeah, we got a jam-packed day today, a lot going on, so buckle down. We got some good takes. Like I said, we got the baseball season. The Yanks kicked it off last Wednesday, and we're happy to be talking about it, and a bunch of stuff's happening. So we're just gonna get right to it, I guess. I mean, we have some people to thank, though. We have our sponsors.
We gotta thank our sponsors.
Where do we start?
You know where we start. We start with our good friend over at James Deli, best subs in the city. We grew up with James back in the day, and I'll tell you, he was a great athlete in his own right. He didn't necessarily rise to the heights that you did, Dick, but I just remember out on the playground, James. I say it every time. He had a beautiful free throw. James was the kind of athlete that he liked to master the fundamentals. He had a great free throw. He knew how to bunt. He knew how to catch the fly balls with two hands. You see all these guys showboating nowadays. They got to take a page out of James's book. But James Deli, best subs in the city, 30 years in a row.
Oh yeah, absolutely the best. I'm probably gonna head there for lunch today after we finish recording. It's just where you got to go on a good old fashioned Monday.
I think that's a good plan,
but
another tradition.
Yeah, but they do say, I guess Monday nights is where you get the pizza. You got to go over and get your pizza from Tommy's.
Tommy Jones Pizza, 75th and 10th.
75th and 10th.
Another childhood friend of ours. We had the privilege of growing up meeting both Tommy and James back in kindergarten. And, Tommy's not the best athlete, as we like to say. He liked to eat a lot more than he liked to play. But, growing up, I remember Dick, Tommy right behind his house, he had that ball field, and we used to play. And that's really where we fell in love with the game. And, without Tommy and without that ball field of his, who's to say if we're sitting here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very true that, just being around sports as we were younger, it gave us this passion to keep going. And, like I said, we both didn't necessarily cut it out to make it in the big leagues for the longest of time. So I'm glad that we have this opportunity to be able to, we have the support to be able to continue to talk.
Absolutely. So for all of our loyal fans out there, come 5-6 o'clock tonight, you know where to find us, 75th and 10th, Tommy's Pizza. Come stop in. First slice is on the station. They don't know that yet, but they're paying.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, I just want to say thanks to the station. putting up with us
Absolutely.
for over 30 years.
We've had a rough patch with
We've been
them.
beating
I
it
had that
for years,
suspension a couple of years ago,
right?
but I've been trying to keep it on the up and up with them. And these station bosses, they can be a little tough, but
But
what can you do?
what can you do? You know what they say. You know, no publicity is bad publicity. I honestly think the suspension was really good for you
I'll
because
tell you,
you became a cult hero
I've only
when
ever
that
been
happened.
reprimanded for telling the truth, Dick.
Yeah, that's right. You can't silence the truth. I mean,
You
you were
can't
like I
handle the
said,
truth
it
sometimes.
brought you to a new level, and so sometimes I'm thankful for the suspension. And I got to I got to try my own, and we had our good friend Pat on when Pat did a great job filling in, but
He
he's
did
no
the best
Gord.
he could. He's
Yeah,
no
yeah,
sin bin. Hey, I'm not called sin bin for nothing, though.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. You earned your nickname. So, all right, let's get into it. You know what we like to do? We like to talk about what happened in sports history um, during on this day, which would be
March the 30th.
March the 30th. Um, so let's get right into it. Shoot, I lost my plate. I left my notepad at home. I wrote all the stuff down on the notepad. You know how I like to do that. I like
Absolutely. All these kids with their iPads and stuff. We are a pen and paper outfit over here.
well,
But
people they got the AI doing
oh
all
my
their notes and
goodness, it's
stuff.
unbelievable. I
I
really
just
can't
like I
fathom it.
like sitting on the subway. It's kind of how I got it. Sitting on the subway coming in or the train and just to writing a few notes about the games I watched the night before. So
Absolutely. So how about we get into it this day in sports history?
yes,
Dick, I can start us off here.
okay,
We're gonna
start us
run through
off.
some birthdays here from March 30th, and back on this day in 1970, a child was born unto us. The very very famous Secretariat. Triple Crown winner back in 1973, still to this day holds the record at the Kentucky Derby. And I'll tell you, they don't make them like Secretariat anymore. Lived until 1989, so we got 19 years on Earth with the mighty Secretariat. And I'll tell you, I think if I remember correctly, that was one of your first assignments covering the Kentucky Derby back in 1973, and
It
I bet
was, yes.
you'll never forget that.
I'll never forget it. It was a beautiful. I was spending some time out in Lexington, and
A
obviously the
beautiful
Derby is right
horse.
in Louisville, and it was just one of those things. We were able to go up there and get in for free. Honestly, we snuck in, and we took our pen and paper, and we got to witness greatness, and it was a beautiful time in horse racing. I mean, horse racing is doing all right now, but if you remember last year, I believe it was journalism. He came out and he won the Belmont, and then he rested. There was load management going on. He didn't even have a chance to win the Triple
It's
Crown.
unacceptable. I'll
I
tell
mean,
you.
if we're talking sports greatness, the Triple Crown is right up there with, defending champions and just the Grand Slams and the tennis and the golf. I don't know
Could you
how you.
imagine back in 1941, Joe DiMaggio, he hit 56 straight games. Imagine, game 45, he's like, "Listen, coach, I got to take a day off." We've lost a lot in the sports world.
Yeah,
People getting a little soft these days. So it's
I
good to
mean,
harken back to these times when there was no time to rest.
yeah, people would pitch 100 innings and 2 weeks of baseball and stuff, and now there's load management all over the place. Don't even get
I
me
mean, we've
started
even
with
we noticed that
basketball.
with our kids growing up, they're playing in the little league and whatnot, and these little leagues they implemented this 85 pitch limit. You can only pitch 85, and afterwards you got to come out. Then you can't pitch for a certain number of days. Back when we were growing up, Dick, I remember you were on the hill just about every other game, and you didn't come off that rubber until the game was over, and. I think we got to get back to that. The kids can handle it.
The kid,
You got to be able to handle it.
now you learn to handle it, and I just want to give it. I hate to do this because it is the Los Angeles Dodgers, but last year, the World Series when Yamamoto came in and he delivered that in the save in Game
The
7. He
best
came in
players want the ball.
and yeah, he pitched the night before. He started and he came in and you know what? He was ready for it, and it was no problem. I mean, what do you do? Not pitch in Game 7 of the World Series? No, he came in, he took care of it. I was rooting for Blue Jays, but the Dodgers, yeah, they're a powerhouse right now. I hope that we can give them hell. The Yanks and the Mets, anybody honestly from the East Coast. I'm just tired of the West
Anybody but
Coast.
the Dodgers, I'll
Anybody
tell
but the
you.
Dodgers. Yeah, I mean it's just horrible. Um, Oh man, I lost my train of thought. I was gonna bring up one more thing about the horses.
He's got. I know where to find you on the weekends. You're playing the ponies, so
Yeah, exactly. Always playing the ponies, but
some big winners here.
regardless, we're moving on.
Couple more birthdays.
In 1988, the great cornerback Richard Sherman, he was a phenomenal football player. He was born, he had to spend a time in the Legion of Boom, was really great with Seattle, went to the Niners, and now, Chris, I gotta be honest with you, I'm not sure the whole sportscaster thing is for him. You
I
know,
don't
like
think
a
so.
great football player, never gonna take that away from him. But some of his takes, I mean, the whole crew on Thursday night, I mean, it's like Ryan Fitzpatrick,
Andrew
him,
Whitworth.
Andrew Whitworth, yeah, like I mean, Tony Gonzalez. I love
These
Tony
guys,
Gonzalez.
great,
Great
great
guy. But
players, but when they're sitting behind that desk, they're like fish out of water.
yeah,
But part of it though is this is what the suits at Amazon want them to do. All the TikTok generation, they got such a short attention span. They can't sit down and listen to Outside the Lines with Bob Lee like we used to. We used to
yeah,
contribute to that show. They certainly aren't listening to our program because they don't have the attention span and the nuance is lost on these kids. So he's just making his paycheck. So I
I
don't
know it
think it's
comes down to
entirely
it.
his fault, but it's not for me. It's not for, I turn the games on right at kickoff, and come halftime, I set that 15-minute timer. I go take the dog out, and then when it comes back, for the second half kickoff, I'm ready to go. I just don't have an appetite for it anymore.
Yeah, and what comes down to it, I mean, we put in our time to be a radio host and to be,
People taking shortcuts,
yeah, people, you
taking
just because you're,
shortcuts.
it's like the players, they don't know what to do after the career, so they go into our business. And I'm not saying they're not doing a good job, but like,
I'm
there's some,
saying they're not doing a good job.
yeah, you
Telling the
exactly, yeah.
truth.
So not like I said, nothing to do with their playing time, but sometimes just let us take care of the talk because we've been practicing this
We've
for so
been,
long.
we've been beating it for a long time here. We got to get this show moving on the
I
road
don't want
here.
to,
We
yeah,
got
get
one,
me off my high
one,
horse.
one more
Sorry.
birthday here on this day in 1994. Alex Bregman was born, the newest Chicago Cub. Dick, I got to say, I'm happy that he's out of the division, the American League East. The Yankees aren't going to have to deal with him. Definitely have some mixed feelings about that contract. I don't think it's going to pay off in the long run. I think that's a big investment to make into a ball player that's on the wrong side of 30. But he brings that intangible into the clubhouse. And, I think, the Red Sox are going to miss that clubhouse presence. They got a lot of young guys on that roster there. And,
Hmm.
the analytics and the sabermetrics said not to sign him, but, you can't put a price tag on leadership. And,
Hmm.
we'll have to see what happens. I think the Cubs are going to make a good run out there in the National League Central Division. The Brewers are still up there. Maybe the Pirates might make a little bit of a comeback here, although they don't want to spend any money. But needless to say, Alex Bregman, hell of a ball play, plays a great third base, and we're wishing him all the best here on his 32nd birthday.
Yeah, we'll keep it short. Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy
Uh,
birthday.
in 1981, the great Isaiah Thomas scores 23 points to lead Indiana to a 63-50 victory over North Carolina to win the NCAA basketball title. It's very current. Obviously, this is March. This is March Madness going on. Isaiah Thomas, he was a killer back in the day. I mean, he was so integral to all the teams up in Detroit. And we're just I mean, it's a wonderful time, this March Madness. I love watching the kids. I feel like college basketball is back. You know what I mean? For a while
Absolutely.
there, I felt like it was really. I mean, NLI. I mean, where do we
My
start with that?
goodness.
Right, but these kids, there's actually some really good teams. And right now, the coaches are doing a good job. I mean, there's some. It feels like the old days when you had the Woodens and the whatnot. You just had the big names and the Dean Smiths and the, you know, Coach K was going. But now we got Patino's still rolling. And obviously, we're going to talk about our Johnnies later. I mean, they're
Yeah,
they're
we are.
back in the Sweet 16. I mean, there's a lot to be happy about. So there's some great games coming up, and I just want to shout out some great. This is when stories are told. During March.
Absolutely, and I'm very happy that you mentioned John Wooden. One of our favorites. He
He's
coached
the
the right
nicest
way,
guy
and
I've ever talked to.
typically every episode we share one of John Wooden's Woodenisms, and he has a good one here. Success is never final. Failure is never fatal. It's courage that counts. That's the
You love
great
that one.
late great John Wooden right there.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So let's move forward to 1987. We have another NCAA championship moment. On this day in 1987, Keith Smart hit a jump shot as time expired to give Indiana yet another NCAA basketball championship. This time over Syracuse, who had a hell of a program, and they're in the dark ages right now. The coach that Providence College just signed from South Florida. He turned down Syracuse for the Providence job, so that just goes to show you how far that empire has fallen. And hey, as long as the New York focus is on the Johnnies, I'm okay with it. Syracuse, that thing they got going up in upstate, I mean, that's like Timbuktu to me. I don't know what's going on up there.
Yeah.
So
It's a shame. I did Jim Boeheim. Jim Boeheim did a great job. He was once they lost him, it was, you lose a culture piece like that. I mean, it's really difficult.
what are you
I'm
gonna
a
do?
big.
It's like UNC firing their coach.
I
That
couldn't
was the
believe it.
the heir apparent
Yeah.
after Roy.
I mean, Huber, he was doing. I think he was doing an excellent job. I mean, they lost their best plays, what top
All
five
these all these all these
draft pick
these
potentially this
ads and
year,
these
Caleb.
boosters, they got such a quick trigger now to get these coaches out of there. And
They need instant
whatever happened to
gratification.
patience?
Whatever happened to patience? Yeah, yeah, exactly. People are pulling the plug way too fast on some coaches and some kids. I mean, the kids are pulling it and they're leaving, and we got to get back to some development. But like I said, there's some good teams out there. I'm a big Tom Izzo fan, and he's got a nice team with some older.
Absolutely.
The kids are developing and stuff. But I'm very scared for
Well,
Michigan
these
State once
coaches,
Steve leaves.
these
What?
coaches like an Izzo, like a Patino, they develop the kids. It's not just signing the kids who are going to go to the highest bidder. And I tell my son all the time, it takes time. You gotta be patient. You got to put in the work. And my son, he was hung up on the baseball for the longest time, and
Yeah,
he needed to get up into the 90s if he was going to get recruited. And
yeah.
once again, as it happens, he didn't put the preparation in. He's trying to get out over his skis a little bit, and he ended up doing the rotator cuff. So,
Oh
I don't know
man,
what's going
this
to
is a
happen
good
with him
winter.
going forward.
This was a good winter for him to be into the green room and just be taking reps. I mean, get
Yeah.
in there, get
But
your
you know what
get your
happens? They
bow
get
up.
the phones out and they're posting the TikToks,
Right,
with
right.
their spin rate and all that stuff. And he flew a little close to the sun. And I told him, son, these are lessons that you didn't want to listen to me, and that's fine. But you're gonna learn this lesson now, and you got to learn it the hard way. And I appreciate that. I hope he learns the lesson there. But he was hung up on the baseball for the last his whole life, and
Mm.
now I think he's finally understanding. He might have to segue into some other things.
It's a tough realization, but if he had known then what he knows now, maybe things would be different. But
Hey,
we can't
at
turn
one
back the
point or
clocks.
another, we're all told that we can no longer play the kids' game. Some of us are told at 18, some of us are told at 40,
Right.
but we're all told.
We're all told. That's right. Did you by chance get to catch just since we're talking about coaches in college ball, did you catch the UCLA Connecticut game the other day?
I
Yeah, Mitch
did.
Cronin versus Stan Hurley. Now those guys, I love firing it up, and as you know, I like to throw a little money around. And I had over point .5 technicals on one of the coaches, and Mitch Cronin in the last 3 minutes, he got me that technical. We
Absolutely.
got someone. He was
Those guys are
clapping.
loose cannons.
He was sarcastically clapping at him, and the ref was like, "That's it. That's a technical." And it was a
Send
huge
him on his
moment.
way.
And yeah, I don't know if it was, it's tough to tell on camera if it was deemed worthy, but you know that he was harking on him all
Hey,
day. So
when you have a reputation like that, I mean, those two coaches will, mother f just about anybody. So
yeah,
their own players, their wives, the kids,
yeah.
us. God knows we've gotten into some scrums post game trying to get a sound bite, and they
Yeah.
like providing sound bites
Well, you
up with the
love that.
best
You
of
love that
them.
altercation
Kind of
with your
reminds me of like a
co-host.
Bobby Knight type character.
Oh, the Bobby Knight. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he would not last in today's society. As the coaching realm.
Certainly not.
They would hate him. But anyway, moving on, we got last thing. Martin Brodeur becomes the first in 2003. Martin Brodeur becomes the first NHL goalie with a 40-win season when New Jersey beats the
With
New York
four
Islanders.
40-win seasons, he did it 4 times.
Oh my goodness. Yep. Incredible. I mean, 40 wins for a goalkeeper. I mean, that's hard because, you can only do your part. You got to have help on the offense. You got to make sure you're scoring goals and not going
Tell you,
to,
Marty Brodeur was a hell of a goaltender. Of course, just across the water there, over there in Newark. Those Devils teams of the '90s had a hell of a run, and certainly he was quite the character on and off the ice. He was Marty Brodeur was married and had a couple children, and he ended up his wife filed for divorce because Marty was cheating on his wife with his wife's brother's wife.
wife's brothers. I'm getting all confused. There's so many. The wife this, wife that. That's unreal, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that God
What can
bless
you say
Marty.
about
Yeah,
that?
God bless Marty. You know, oh my
Couldn't
goodness.
be helped.
All right, that's enough. Yeah, we're just gonna leave
It's
that.
this
We're
day in
gonna leave that
sports
lie.
history. I
That's
think it's
it.
time
That's
for one of the fan favorite
favorite.
segments right here, Dick. Is it time for what does it mean?
Yeah, what the hell does it mean? So obviously, with the start of baseball season, we got to go with something that is in baseball, and this is kind of a term you don't hear that much. But when people refer to the Baltimore chop, like you get up to the plate, you have the Baltimore chop, and this is a baseball technique. So we the batter deliberately hits the ball downward into the ground to makes a nice, a super high bounce that fast runners can get to second base. And as you know, Chris, we love the fundamentals and we love the
You don't
bunt.
see the Baltimore chop
You don't see the
anymore.
Baltimore chop. And I actually believe this. So this was back in the 1890s. The Baltimore Orioles were the people who brought this to light.
Back when they were a
Um,
minor league team.
and they were actually accused of putting cement underneath like the dirt right in front of right in front of home plate. They believed that the ground was extra hard to make a massive bounce, and so when they threw, they would deliberately hit the ball down to have this huge bounce to try to go over to, not even to go over the infielder's head, but just have an infield hit. And we love
I moved
infield
the runner
hits,
over,
right? Oh yeah, we love
playing small
infield hits.
ball.
You know, you got someone taking a big lead, starting the run, and you just got to make contact. And you cannot have a little pop up or an infield fly. So the Baltimore chop, we got you don't hear it as much these days, people talking about it, but that's it's a technique. It's something we got to do. So that's what the hell it means.
I'll tell you, if I were Aaron Boone, the much chagrined manager of Yankees, spring training's over now, but if I would have spent a couple days on the Baltimore chop. All these guys, you got Stanton, you got Judge, who went. We'll get into it in a little bit, but I'm not liking what I see from Aaron Judge so far. And I know the Yanks won last night in the opener, against the Giants, but Aaron Judge 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. These guys got to focus on making contact, moving runners over, stealing
Hmm.
a base, sacrifice, hitting runs. They don't want to do any of that. And of course, everyone's going to be really flashy. The Yanks going to start out really well, but they always slump in the summertime. And I think Aaron Boone's got to go. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But thanks for educating our listeners about the
It's a
Baltimore
team's
chop.
Exactly. It's a team's game, and sometimes when you're playing chess, you got to sacrifice your pawn. I mean, sometimes you got to go up there, you got to bunt, you got fundamentals. So
Absolutely, 100%. So that's what we've got going on now. I think it's about time we get into the rundown. And we've been in the habit, Dick, of talking about this one individual here. I know you're a big track and field guy, so I'm going to hand the microphone over to you, and we'll talk about what's been going on in track and field.
yeah, so the World Indoor Championships just happened, and believe it or not, I feel like it was just last year around this time we were talking about the great Roger Steen. Now Roger Steen's a USA
Roger
shot putter.
Steen.
And this man is a pile of muscle. I mean, I've never seen a bulldog like this throw shot put so far. I mean, he's got everything he wants. He's got the tenacity, and like I said, last year he secured his first ever world medal at silver at the World Championships. It was in China, and he went from fifth place to second. This year he had another great show, and of course, I'd have to shout out Tom Walsh, the New Zealander. He got another gold. He got gold
Always.
last year.
Father
He
Time.
Yeah, he's just an unbelievable competitor. He's actually the most decorated indoor shot put of all time. Obviously, we have Ryan Krauser, who's gonna go down as the best ever, but he doesn't really compete in the indoors. So Roger makes another team. He goes out. I believe it was in Italy. Was it or Poland? I think it was in Poland this year. And we actually had him and Jordan Geis, another USA guy. They got second and third, and they brought home some medal. And Roger, like I'm just so. I mean, I'm proud of both of them. But I think this is Jordan's first medal at a world
I
championship
think you're
because
right.
the shot put team for the USA obviously it's kind of like the Yankees back in the day or they're just a
Murderers
powerhouses.
Row.
Yeah, murderers row. So Roger, when these guys get the opportunity though, they're ready. Obviously, they're always ready because they got to compete in the US at all times against the greats. So they went out there and they got second and third. And it's just an amazing thing. They're just building up a beautiful career. Very admirable. Like I just love seeing success from our boys.
Absolutely. And, that's the other thing. You turn to ESPN, they're not talking about track and field, but, some of the feats of strength that go on in that sport are certainly worth our admiration and our time on the air. So I'm happy to spend some time talking about the great Roger Steen.
Roger's a man. We gotta get him on the show for a little bit. Talk to him about it all. Dude, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
I have to get in contact with his coach Kurt. I know his coach Kurt Jensen a little bit.
His people.
Uh,
Who don't you know after these 30 years?
I know, man. 30 years, you meet a lot of people, a lot of connections. That's all this whole game is about. So, but yeah, track and
Absolutely.
field. We'll be talking more about track and field as the season goes on. It's picking up as well, so we're excited. We're track guys, we're field guys. That
We
is
sure will.
all right. Yeah, he could compete in weightlifting.
He could compete in anything he wants to
Yeah,
compete.
yeah. I wouldn't
Put him
doubt
on
it.
that Jets offensive line, and next thing
Oh
you
my
know, they
God.
might be having some better
Or the
success. And
Giants. Maybe we get him a
oh
tryout with the
man,
Giants.
both of
That'd
the
be great.
programs are in shambles these days. Although I think there's some more hope over the New York Giants, the football Giants, their
Let's go
club.
right to the football right
Let's
now.
go right to the football Giants here. The we had a coaching fiasco
Oh my
last
God.
year. They finally pulled the plug on the Dayball experiment. Mike Kafka was the interim coach, and he didn't necessarily inspire the boys. But I got to tell you, I think that general manager's got to go. It's kind of surprising that Brian Dayball was his horse, so to speak, and they scapegoat him, but the general manager's still there. But I got to tell you, I think they hit a home run with their hire of John Harbaugh. I think things are finally going to change for Big Blue.
Yeah, Harbaugh. We didn't even get to talk. So you're more of a Giants fan. I'm more of the Jets fan here. I hate to say it, but last year you had some excitement there with young Jackson, young
Jackson
Cam,
Dot,
both.
Cam
But there was,
Scatterbo. I got to tell you,
Malik Neighbors. We called it last year. I knew Malik Neighbors. It wasn't a huge hit across the middle, but it was.
it's only a
Of
matter of
course, we
time.
lost. Yeah, we lost a couple of them, the big injuries, and they got a great core. I really like him. So you got the leadership of Harbaugh coming in. It should be
Couple good
good, right?
draft picks if they can do things right. And I got to tell you, we were talking about Tom Izzo a little bit earlier, and Jim Harbaugh, same kind of coach. He develops young men of character. It's not about just what you do on the field; it's about who you are off the field. And I think he's just the right kind of character to mold this team into the football giant type team that we need. I mean, look at back in the day, we had Parcells, we had Coughlin. These guys, they don't make them like that anymore. And that's the type of fabric of coach that we need for Big Blue. And I'll tell you, Jackson Dot, Cam Scatterbo, both of those guys dealt with injuries. Scatterbo had a horrific injury that ended his season, and of course Jackson Dot was dealing with the concussions and everything. And I got to tell you, I'm not into that whole thing. I think you can get your bell rung a couple times and go back out and play. And I like
I,
these guys. They play
the
hard nosed.
attitude.
They're not afraid to lower the shoulder. They don't shy away from contact either. They run to it. They like the contact, and I think they set the tone for the whole club. And I'm excited. I think things are gonna be turning up for my Giants here.
I'm just a little worried. Harbaugh, he was over there in Baltimore, and he had Lamar Jackson, a couple time MVP, and you had Derrick Henry. So I'm not, I love Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterby, but you got Lamar and Derrick Henry, and the defense they had. He's had the tools for years, ever since he won
Unbelievable
his first
talent.
championship.
It's
So
mystifying that they never made a Super Bowl after the first one that they made with Flacco back in 2012. But
yeah, so I'm
we're
hoping that it wasn't,
turning a new page.
yeah, maybe it's something else. So I don't know.
I hope
Then
Harbaugh is still like us. He's still got his fastball, but time will
yeah,
tell. Time will tell.
and then we go over to the dang Jets, dude. I can't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what's going on. Is Aaron Glenn still? Is he still able to
He's
walk foot in the building? Like, are we gonna? When are we gonna cut his key card
great.
off?
You
Like
remember
that dude came
when
over
they
to get
hired
every
him from
defense.
Detroit, it's like
Oh
he
yeah,
walked on water. And then,
yeah.
this season was an
Defense. He got a
absolute
defensive coach.
disaster.
You know how many turnovers we produced, or how many interceptions we had? They didn't have an interception to like
Zero
week.
interceptions.
I think, yeah, but I thought it
And
was
he was
one.
a
I thought they
defensive
got
back.
that was what they were telling us. They were telling us, and you know what they did? They traded Sauce. That might have
Trade
been
sauce.
yeah, they traded Sauce. He's in his prime. A little injury, whatever, but it's kind of hard when you're losing. I don't know. That was a tough decision to be made, but moving forward, I just don't know. What will we sign Geno again? Is Geno Smith going to be a QB? Obviously, the Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers experience and all. I don't even. That was a disaster.
I mean, at this
But Geno,
point, come October, you're going to get a call to play quarterback for the
he must
Jets.
not. Oh, I'd be able to do it, but like Aaron Rodgers out there, I'd be slinging it. I can at least read the game a little bit. Geno
Absolutely.
Smith. Geno Smith last year, God save him, but he was horrible. He got the
Terrible.
contract. He was terrible. I don't know.
It's a low
Prove me
risk
wrong, Gino.
investment, but I don't necessarily know how high the reward's going to be. I don't know how good of a quarterback Gino can be at this point, especially a rebuilding franchise like this. They got a high draft pick. I think they're picking second overall,
Always.
or third
We always
overall.
do, Chris.
They always do, and nothing changes, and that's why everybody they trade Sauce Gardner away, and everyone's like, oh, the draft picks, the draft picks. But with this regime, I don't
When
have
you
any
make
faith in
bad
them to
draft
to
picks, they
make
don't.
good selections. They're going to pick another tight end in the first round.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I give you $500 and you go and blow it and it's gone right away and you have nothing to show for it, then it doesn't matter how much money I give you. And that's how it is giving these guys draft picks. They just like, oh, no, 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 they don't know what they're doing,
I'll
and
tell
they
you,
just
this time of year, come April, I just get flashbacks to the 1995 NFL draft. We were shouting it from the mountaintops. The Jets needed to draft Warren Sapp from the
oh
U.
my,
And
yeah,
what do the Jets do? They pass on Sapp and they draft Kyle Brady, a tight end, in the
a
first
tight end.
round. It's
You got
unbelievable.
a game changer in one sap. I mean, he was
Tell
unreal.
you.
I mean, the
And
time
Kyle
that
Brady was no Mark Bavaro, let me tell you
no,
that.
there was no
And
Rob Gronkowski.
you know, these
So
the more things change, the more they stay the same, Dick.
Well, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it back a step further and say that I wish we didn't fire Salah.
No,
Robert
I
Salah.
think I
Robert
think he's a
Salah. Now
good
he was
he's
good
he's a
defensive
good
coach.
coach, and I
He
think
went
the
over there.
players listen to him.
The players listened to him, and you know what? He was actually doing a pretty. We actually had a nice defense rolling. We had some things going. We had some nice
It
players
was
coming in on
quarterback play.
offense. And then you know what happened? We got Aaron Rodgers, and the darkness thing set in. And Aaron Rodgers just blew it up. We lost our coach. I mean, like I don't know, man. He's a cancer. I mean, I'm
He's
glad
an
he's gone.
absolute
I don't know.
cancer.
I don't know what he's doing now. If he's going to continue playing, hopefully. I mean, he did all right in Pittsburgh,
I'll
but
tell you,
like,
at this
no
this
one's
this
going to win
point,
with
this
him.
day and
No one's going
age,
to win with that age. I'm
no
sorry.
one, no one at all. Aaron Rodgers at this stage in his career, all he is, he's a coach killer. They all get
Coach, oh,
fired, you know.
yeah, no, 100%. That's a great way to put
And,
it.
and what's the cost? He's
So
egotistical. He's not my kind of quarterback.
who's financing this? Is
Who's
what it comes
who's
down to.
funding this?
Who's funding this?
That's the problem these days. Everybody, you can't answer these things. All this dark money and sports and politics and everything. And hey, you know what they say. On this show, no politics, no religion. We just keep it to sports.
Sports, sports, sports. Anyway, that's enough of football. We got a long way to football coming on. Like I said, right now let's go current. We got the March Madness going on, and we got Rick Pitino and the Johnnies. Like you said, they had a great win over the weekend. Actually, a really solid win over Kansas.
I'll
Thanks
tell you,
to
that was a
Darren
classic
Peterson.
game right there. Bill Self,
Oh
Rick
yeah, Bill
Pitino.
Self. I think they said that it was like one of the highest. Between the two of them, I think they have 5 national championships, and that was one of the highest kind of matchups that you're going to find.
It's one of the best viewed games of the tournament so far too, and what a classic! I'll tell you.
They made us sweat for sure. I mean, we got out to that big lead. Now, it felt really good. Of course, I knew they were going to bring it back, but the Johnnies don't quit. So
the Johnnies don't quit, and I'll tell you, right, even from before tip off, I kind of knew that it was going to come out of the end, and the Johnnies were going to pull one out. I mean, just from something as simple as you see the two coaching staffs. You see Kansas's coaching staff, and you see the St. John's coaching staff. St. John's, all the coaches dressed in suits.
Oh,
Kansas coaching staff, they're all coming out in those quarter zips. It's like they're getting ready to play shoot around themselves, like they're getting ready to get on the elliptical. Patino, he's ready. You gotta respect the game. You gotta dress to impress, and he always does that. I'm hoping that in the Sweet 16 we might get one of the white suits coming out. I don't know that he's ever lost wearing the white suit. And something else I want to shout out
basketball
about this.
makes total sense. I've seen some other coaches and other sports wear
It's like
suits.
they're wearing the
It makes
pajamas
it makes
nowadays.
Oh yeah, but there's like I said, there's some others. Like I've seen some track and field people wearing suits. That stuff I just don't.
I can't get down with
Yeah,
that.
but if you're on the basketball court, you're on the hardwood, and you got the cameras and lights and stuff. So good.
Well, the problem is, because we're track and field guys. Some of these track coaches, they spend more time thinking about
More
and
money.
getting their suit, more time, more money, more energy thinking about their suits than they do their own athletes, making sure the athletes have what they need. And next thing you know, they run good athletes out of town. But don't worry, because they're looking good. But Patino, he takes care of the athletes first, and that's what I like about him. He's an old school guy. He's encouraging. There was a clip of him. They played Providence College in the Big East tournament, and it was halftime. They had him mic'd up. We got inside the huddle, and he's like, "Hey," he's like, "if you take an open three and you miss it," He's like, I don't want you passing up that shot again. He's like, that's what you're there for. Don't lose your confidence. You get it the next time. You got to have the mentality that I'm making the next one. And he's an inspiring coach. And speaking to that, the Kansas game comes down to the end. It's 65-65. They got one possession. Shot clock's turned off. The small guy there, Dylan Darling, he hadn't had a great game. He hadn't made too many
And
baskets.
made a bucket yet.
He goes to Patino. He's like, I want the ball. I'm going to drive the lane. And Patino said, you know what? I could tell. I saw the fire in his eyes. And he's like, I knew that that's the play we had to run. And I love that. No 40-foot three. Drive the lane. You win the game on a layup. The fundamentals. And he did it with his right hand, too.
Of course.
It's unbelievable. In Kansas, they weren't expecting that. And that's why you pay Rick Pitino the money that you do. And that's why, I'll pay for his suits for the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight if that's the type of result that we're going to get. I don't know. Hey, if I have a good weekend with the ponies, I'll be able to pay for anything that he wants.
That's right. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's a beautiful display of coaching. I mean, obviously they were getting a lot of fouls. They were disrupting the game big time, but they stuck to the plan. They kept getting it in, and it's gonna be we got Duke. The Johnny's
gonna be a
got
battle
Duke here, and it is gonna be a battle. It's a beautiful that corner is great. Like I said, we got Duke versus the Johnnies, and then you got the Sparties versus UConn. So we got Dan Hurley, Tom Izzo,
classic programs.
Was it Shireman or from Duke? I keep thinking Coach K, but
oh man, I miss him.
yeah, I know I miss him, and then and of course Patino. So they got the, like I said, college basketball is in a good spot with all these coaches. They're doing good work.
It's on the up and up. I know we're going to spend a lot of time talking about baseball, but real quick, I do want to talk about the National Hockey League. We got a couple teams that call New York home. Really quickly, the Buffalo, that upstate thing, the Sabres are back from the dead. They're going to make the playoffs for the first time since 2011. A little bit closer to home, our New York Rangers are having another tough year. They're doing another rebuild on the fly. They traded Artemi Panarin over to the Los Angeles Kings and trying to rebuild a little bit. But Chris Drury's he was a great player, but he's running the front office now, and I don't know if he has what it takes. And it's crazy, because you got the Sabres doing well, and you even have the Islanders. The Islanders are doing well too. They've got a rookie phenom defenseman named Matthew Schaefer. Dick, he was born September the 5th of 2007, and he's in the NHL now. 2007. That, I know we've been doing this a long time, but these numbers, even we started having these guys born in 2000, and these guys were born after 9/11. Next thing you know, 2007, and he's a hell of a player. And they got Ilya Sorokin, the old man in between the pipes and net, and he's having a great year. And if the Rangers can't be in it, we got the rivalry thing with the Islanders going on, but the playoffs aren't the playoffs in any sport if there aren't New York teams involved in it. So all my best to the Islanders, and hopefully the Rangers can get the house in order and be right back there next year.
It's amazing how well the Sabres are doing. I mean, they said they're right there. I mean, I believe the Hurricanes have the number one record at with 45 wins, but the Sabres, they're like half a game back or something. I mean, that's incredible. I mean,
it's unbelievable. It's quite the turnaround.
And playoff hockey is right around the corner, so I'm very, very excited to get into that. It looks like
playoffs for hockey and basketball in the NBA.
Yeah, sadly the Rangers, the Devils, they're just
what can you do?
I don't know, rebuilding, I guess.
Marty Brodeur is not walking through that door for the Devils.
Yeah, sadly, they got that young kid.
Nor is his ex-wife or his new wife that was his wife's brother's wife.
Hey, they got that young kid Hughes that at least brought home the gold medal in the Olympics.
That he did double gold for the men and women. Jack Hughes and Megan Keller for the women. I'll tell you that the gold is back where it belongs.
I couldn't agree more. It's one of those. I mean, like, it's hard to tell when it's going on, but like, I mean, it's a sports moment that we're gonna remember. You remember the games that we were at and the stuff. And I mean, I was just having coffee. Obviously, I wasn't.
Well, it stinks that we couldn't.
I wish I was there.
Yeah, I'll tell you. We got together. We had some coffee, and then after the game, we went out to Sullivan's for a couple of cold ones to celebrate. And it's good. There's a special energy in the air now with the gold medal back on the necks of the Americans.
I mean, did you see the guys the picture afterwards with the teeth knocked out?
Iconic.
I mean, that's
like Jim Torrin Craig and Michael Ruzioni back
I
in
mean, we got
'80.
to get that in your studio in the
Yeah,
studio.
I gotta get that up,
I
on
mean,
the Wall of
obviously,
Fame.
yeah, the Harry Bush is always a classic that you got going on here, but maybe a good. So we you are sin bin. You do love a good hockey. I mean, you've lost your front tooth is fake, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I lost it back in the day and won the game though, and that's the thing. You got to put the body on the line. And this is why you don't rest your good players. You play them the whole time, you get them to a rhythm. If you lose a tooth along the way, you maybe got to get a broken nose, get a black eye. It's you lay it on the line for your brothers and for your team and for your country. And I appreciate that. And despite even though he plays for the Devils, my
Yeah.
take my hat off for him.
One last question before we move on. You see that they try to take the puck to the Hockey Hall of Fame. What
Yeah,
do you think of
they're
that?
fighting for
They're fighting for it.
they're fighting for the puck. It's interesting because the Hockey Hall of Fame, they have this tradition that they take
Hall of
what
Fame.
they rape and plunder whatever they
Yeah.
want, and that's been the standard. But it's about time somebody sticks up against it, and that's
Yes.
another thing. I take my hat off again for him. I think that belongs over his fireplace. He can tell
I,
his kiddos about that.
if I were him, I give the Hall of Fame my gold medal. But here, take this.
Yeah,
Give
I
me the
need the
puck.
puck.
I'll wear the puck around my neck.
Absolutely, there's
I'll
only
wear the
one
puck.
puck. Think of how many gold medals there are.
People say it tastes like gold. I said this tastes like rubber. I
Damn
love
right.
it. Oh man, I would be fighting for that. That'd be cool. Like you said, take my medal. I mean, I want to keep the medal too.
Yeah.
Obviously, I bet you it's not even real gold.
That's probably not. They're probably cutting corners again.
It
Nobody
used
wants
to
to
be
do
real
things the
gold.
old-fashioned way.
It used to be
It's not
real
like it
gold.
used to be these sports, but we're still talking about them. Speaking of
Anyway,
which, I think we got to talk about our Knickerbockers.
the Knickerbockers, dude. Okay, so Carl Anthony Towns taking a step up. I can't believe I'm saying that. He's actually playing well. He's offering. Jalen Brunson's doing great, but he's being a little more facilitator. What it comes down to is, but what was it? 2 summers ago, Mikal Bridges, great player, great
Yep.
guy. Do you know the contract that he's on? The money that we're paying
Oh,
him.
from my own.
I mean, it's like I think it was like four for 150 million. I mean, basketball money is something different. And the problem is,
Dude,
and
these
we
super
saw
maxes they can sign.
well, so obviously last year they fired Thibodeau, and it made it obviously we did
I
not
still
agree with
haven't
that.
forgiven them.
We still have not forgiven that. That's just a brutal uptake. I mean, of course, like we didn't get we had a really nice run in the postseason. We were doing well. Obviously, we didn't finish it off, but like um
It's the process. You gotta,
it's
it's the same thing that happens in college basketball now. They're not, you got a talented coach, you run him out of town, and I'll tell you that the next thing is not always going to be better. The grass is not always greener. Programs, collegiately and professionally are finding that, and I'm still disappointed about that. As things stand now, our Knickerbockers are third in the East,
yep.
behind the Pistons, who are having a hell of a year, and the Celtics, who survived the Jason Tatum absence with the Achilles. And I'll tell you, the Achilles, the rotator cuff, some of these injuries are unbelievable. And I can't believe with modern medicine that, Tatum's already back from that. And, I was kind of hoping it was going to take a little bit longer, maybe give our Knicks, a little bit better of a chance come playoffs. But, anything can happen in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the Knicks are on a 7-game win streak right now. They're doing an excellent job getting the jobs done. I'm just like always a little worried with the bench. The bench has been playing well, but we're gonna have to go to them because I mean, people just come out and they take away our two best players, and they know they're gonna stay in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you said, the Pistons, they're a hell of a team, and obviously, I'm not even worried about the western side until we get to the championship. But if we do, we're going to a game at the Garden.
Yeah,
Obviously,
we are.
we got to get
Absolutely.
back. I think we know somebody in the department, obviously. So
We
if we
know
don't get,
everybody at this point.
I mean, if we don't get tickets, I'm calling it. I'm calling it quits. I'll
I
say it
think
right now.
so.
If
I'll
the
come
Knicks are
off
in
the air.
if they're in the finals and we're not there, then I don't know why I'm doing this anymore.
Yeah.
So
One final note about the National Basketball Association just across the bridge.
the
The
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, God knows what's happening there. They are second to last in the East at this point, 17-56, and how the mighty have fallen.
The whole tank. Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever call them
Tanking.
mighty,
Oh
but
my goodness.
I don't know if I call them mighty. I mean, they had what five first round draft picks last year, and obviously none of them are
Piss them all away. It's like the
pissed them all
Jets.
away. They stockpiled it just to do nothing with them. But yeah, we don't need to spend much time with the Nets. They're not doing anything that we need to talk about. But basketball, I think the NBA is in a good spot. other than the tanking situation, the load management, they got that going on. They got kind of fixing that right now. Um, but
They
there's
need to.
actually,
It's
well, they're
ruining our game.
expanded. They're expanding the league. Did you see that? They're trying
I
to add a
saw
few
that a
more.
couple new franchises. I heard Seattle might be due to
I
get
hope
one,
it's an
maybe
old
Las
fan.
Vegas.
Yeah, I hope it's an old franchise. They better be if they're going to
The
Seattle. The
Supersonics.
Supersonics need to come back. I mean,
So what a
this is an
travesty it
opportunity.
was they ever let them get away, especially to Oklahoma City of all places.
Oh
You
my
know,
God.
that still tears me up. I mean, some of
I
those
mean, Seattle,
supersonic teams
you
were
got family in Seattle, right?
absolutely, and from a it's a great city. I don't necessarily get down with a lot of the music that came out from there.
Oh my gosh,
Dean
the
Martin
music
and Frank
affected us.
Sinatra, they are not, but man, could they play some basketball? And they made for some great runs over the years, and it's a shame they were never able to capture a title back with some of those teams that they had in the '90s with Sean Kemp and Gary Payton and a lot of
Hmm.
those guys. But I think the NBA's got to make that right, and they got to give Seattle a team back, and they better be called the Supersonics because that's exactly what we need. But a lot of things happen in this expansion, and who knows what the hell is going to happen. I mean,
Yeah,
I remember back in the day, a lot of these teams, when we were kids for the NHL, for example, there were 6 teams.
they're all
That's all you
expansion
needed.
teams. Yeah, yeah. I mean, so all Vegas, they're trying to make a team. I don't know. No, Vegas isn't what it used to. People don't party. People don't go drink, and it's I don't know. I don't know
Too
who's in
busy with their
Vegas.
phones and the TikToks.
Right, right. Vegas is not what we're accustomed to. But if we're talking Seattle, the only thing I'll say is if they do go back, and Kevin Durant, I'm talking to you. This is your one opportunity to make it right.
Make
There's a
things
lot of
right.
make things right. Go back to Seattle, finish your career there. Read, give that would be talk about a boost of energy for a new,
Full
not
circle.
even new. I mean that Seattle would be bumping. I honestly might need to go to opening day if that's the case. If KD is back there in a Supersonics uniform, that'd be special. And you don't get sports moments like that. I mean, it's a very obscure and specific situation that he can be a part of. He's got to take
I
advantage
love a
of
good
it. So we'll
storyline like
see.
that. That's what we
I know,
need.
right? It is really an awesome thing. So I don't know. He'll probably mess it up somehow. He doesn't do well with these high
Ah,
pressure situations all the time, unless it's on the court.
he'll probably just fire a Twitter out about it from one of these things that they have called burner accounts nowadays, where you talk stuff and it's not your name, it's a random name, and apparently he loves doing that out on the Twitter. But and I
I'll
don't
say this:
understand that stuff. It's
if you're
not our pen and paper.
well, it's not. But if your phone ever gets broken into and they see our text messages, I know someone's gonna have to come bail me out after that. Yeah,
Hey,
'cause
that's the pact that we have. Nobody can afford to see those things. I get a little
lock
heated.
and key.
Unbelievable. I need top tier security.
Oh man, okay. All right, that's the NBA. But moving on, we got one last take. I believe right. We haven't
That's
talked
it.
about
Yeah, Major League Baseball.
yeah Major League Baseball. So I mean, we're like I said, baseball started, but we did get a little precursor. There was some baseball happening in the last 2 weeks, and I just want to bring up. Obviously, we got the World Baseball Classic. How about that? Yeah, not even losing in the final, choking it away, or at least coming back. But how about when they lost that game and the manager was like, I didn't know. I thought we were in. I didn't know we had to
And
win.
he
I was like,
lost that game to the Italians, which I was conflicted. I'm a
right, right.
U.S. guy, but I'll tell you the heritage. It made me proud to see all of my all my fellow countrymen, all my cuginos going out there and playing hard, playing the right way. But Mark DeRosa, I'll tell you, we gotta send Mark DeRosa and Aaron Boone to the same playground together and get them away from our clubs because they're just not inspiring guys. And after they lost to Italy, they said that the ticket was punched, and they had then they lost control of their own destiny, and they had to sit there and scoreboard watch. And thank God the Italian team was a wagon, and they took care of Team Mexico, gave the U.S. chance to fight another day. But it's just not. You have one job. You're the man whoever everybody turns to, and frankly, I think a lot of guys are not destined and not well suited to sit in the big seat. And I don't think Mark DeRosa is one of them. And of course, they ended up making the championship game, and they lost to a hell of a Venezuelan team. That was a hell of a game. But I'll tell you that the American team, they should have learned from the hockey teams, the men's and women's hockey teams. Those teams, they fought, they were
Oh
fighters.
my gosh,
The
yeah.
American team, they were going through the motions out there. It's like they were on autopilot, and not a good showing. And the national pastime to not win. It really, really grinds me up. And I think we got to change something. We got to bring back the old school mentality, the Joe Torres, the Jim Lelands, the Tony La Russas. That's the
Hmm.
type of stuff that we need. Light a fire under their ass like Billy Martin used to do with Reggie Jackson. You need somebody who's galvanizing like that, and they just don't have it at this point. And it makes me worried. Even Aaron Judge, he's up in a bunch of high leverage situations, and I just don't know that he has it. And
He definitely does. He doesn't have that
I
clutch
don't think he
gene in
has it.
him.
He's a regular
You know his
season
playoff.
destroyer,
Yeah,
and
you
then the
know his
playoffs he
playoff.
chokes.
Oh man,
It's not like Jeter. Jeter, Mr. October. Come on.
Mariano.
Aaron Judge is Mr. May. Come on. Who cares about that?
Remember when Rivera would come in and close out those games? Oh my gosh, you knew automatic that. I mean, he was unhittable, right?
It's not
Um,
like it used to be. I'll tell you that, Dick. And as we get into it, we're still kind of licking our wounds there. And the regular season has begun. We're recording this a couple days ahead of time. I know this is the March 30th episode, but just last night on the 25th, we had opening night. And first of all, this thing, they're putting the first game of the year on the Netflix.
oh my
And
god, I couldn't even find it.
no, and then the broadcast was terrible. They had Bert Kreischer in the broadcast, and he's not a baseball guy. What happened? What happened to Tim McCarver, and what happened to Joe Morgan? God rest their souls. But there's baseball men out there that deserve to be broadcasting these games. But the Yankees, they got off to a decent start. 7-0, but it's March. Who really cares? And Cashman's been the general manager for about coming on 30 years. Aaron Boone's been managing the Yanks for I think over 10 years now, and the Yanks haven't won a series since 2009 against the Phillies, and Aaron Boone hasn't certainly done anything, and I think they got to do something about it.
Good. I look. When I obviously I couldn't. I don't have the Netflix. So I actually get to watch. So I look at the box score, and of course you see 7-0, you see 10 hits, but the only thing I see is 0 for 5 and 4 Ks.
Four
Okay,
strikeouts, Aaron Judge.
we're paying him $1 billion, right? He's got to be our hero, and all I can see is it's 0 for 5. I mean, I don't know. It's obviously game one. It's one of those things where there's a lot of
This
ball
is
left,
why they're
but
trying for the launch angle. They're trying to hit the homers, and of course,
he's
Judge.
such a good hitter.
Everybody
Who
talks, 40 home runs, 50 home runs, but the high pressure situations,
just getting hits.
just you got to put the ball in play.
If you go 2 for 4 every game, okay, right? You get that fifth at bat. You go 3 from
Move
5.
the runner over.
You got it. Yeah, you got it. We need more Baltimore chops.
Baltimore chop.
We need some Bronx chops, right? We need
Yeah.
some of those. I mean,
Well, that's the thing. The other thing too, you never see anybody choke up on the bat anymore. I think back the good old days. Rod Carew, hell of a player. He had that easy, simple batting stance. He'd choke up on the bat. He keep the club head parallel
Right.
and
It's
just
like
drive it
showing-
through the zone. Just chop a base hit.
I just
Nobody
think
has the
show it-
baseball
teaching the
IQ
kids.
anymore.
Yeah, teach the kids. You got to get teach them how to do that. Yeah. If I was working with the Yankees, I would, if I was to say I'm third base coach, I'd give Judge the bunt signal.
Yeah.
He would and see if see if he's committed to the team. See if he can lay down the bunt. See if he can.
And here's
you
the
know,
thing. I
really-
don't think he is. I don't think he's committed.
I don't think he can bunt, which is I guess I understand with that, but that type
It's a
of
travesty
stature-
to the game. It's an
it's a
insult.
travesty. But I would test him. I would make him bunt. And if
I
he
think
doesn't
so.
do it, then I have my answer. I'd go out. I trade him. I trade him for all the picks in the world.
Absolutely.
I'm ready to move
So
on.
I don't think they're gonna have it. And especially this offseason they
I'd
had.
rather have Schwarber.
I'd rather have Schwarber too. He bats leadoff. He walks a lot. And that's I don't. You got to get on base. And I'd rather it be a hit. But if it's a walk, hit by pitch, it doesn't matter. Another thing I want to talk about here, they didn't bring any really new blood in the off season. Everybody. The Yankees, they're gonna sign everybody. They're gonna sign Kyle Tucker. They're gonna sign Bo Bichette. All they did, they brought back the old guard. They ran it back again. They have a decent pitching staff. I think Garrett Cole's going to kind of be back in the mix here. He had the Tommy John recently last year, and God knows what type of pitcher he's going to be. But Max Fried held down the fort, on the rubber. He pitched 6 1/3, and I got to tell you, he pitched. You look at the line. Okay, he only gave up 2 hits, 4 strikeouts, only walked 1, no earned runs. But your ace has got to pitch more than six in the third innings. I mean, back in the day, you give the ball to a Roger Clemens and Andy Pettit, even Ron Guidry back in the day, Don Drysdale. These guys, going back to the Brooklyn Dodgers with you gotta pitch more than six innings, and all this stuff. Keep load management. These pitchers don't. These starters don't even pitch 200 innings a year anymore. Back in the day, you pitch almost 300, no problem. Pitch them every 3 days rest. I think that's what you got to do.
I mean, if I, I mean, I pitched a little bit, but I knew a little bit about the chess match. But these guys, when you get up, I mean, you want to see you want to, you got to learn the hitter a little bit, and you kind of take that momentum into later. Like all of a sudden, you're playing chess, and then we have an opportunity to they get pulled before they can make the adjustments for certain players. And you throw in a new guy, and they got scouting on them, and all of a sudden, hits are coming at the end. I've seen a lot of blown saves, probably more blown saves than when the kids would stay in longer.
Yeah. So, who's to say? And everybody's, 7-0, 7-0, whatever. But, it's early. And, when you hear us, that, in the dog days, I think the Yanks are going to be fading. I think the Red Sox have a scrappy club. The Baltimore Orioles, I think, are going to be pretty good. They're going to be practicing that Baltimore chop. And, just across town over in Queens, the Baltimore was able to sign Pete Alonso away. He's no longer playing for the Mets over there. And, I just don't have faith in the Yankees to do what they need to do. They're on the hot seat. And, I think everybody on the Mets, payroll is going to be on the hot seat as well. Pretty big change. Alonso's not playing for them anymore. They traded Brandon Nimmo. It's a changing of the guard. They signed Bo Bichette, but I just don't know what's going to happen. You can't. This is what happens. They're throwing money at the problem. They're not making ball players. And everybody throw money at the problem. Throw money at the problem. That's what you do with the wife. She's upset. Buy her a new purse. Send her to Cabo, whatever. But it's just these things have their limits, and I just you outspend everybody, no problem. The Dodgers have some kind of black magic thing going on where it works for them, but they also develop players too. The Yankees, they're not doing any of that. The Mets aren't doing any of that, and they develop them and they get rid of them. And I just don't think it's going to work.
I mean, you think about remember how the Mets season ended last year. The final
Yeah.
game of the year, losing and missing the playoffs. Right after the year before, they were in the World Series.
Yeah, and that's
And,
after they gave Juan
we're not
Soto
making the
$800
playoffs.
million dollars.
Yeah, $1 billion for 25 years. I mean, he's a made man, and you're going from hero to zero like that. I mean, obviously you gotta make some changes. I always like the polar bear. I mean, they're just making they're making changes versus developing. At some point we gotta look in the mirror here and just you go back to the fundamentals. That's what it comes down when it comes to baseball and to building a team. 180 games. I mean, it's a long 182 games. Just buckle down, take it game by game, and and just try. And I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. But
Oh,
yeah,
you
they got to put
you are a lot more optimistic than I am, Dick. I'll
yeah,
tell
I
you
don't
that
know.
much.
I just sometimes I don't. I mean, they got the talent. They have talent. They just they got to stay focused. They're not. I don't know. Something about being in the big leagues sometimes.
Yeah, it's a constant grind. It's a constant grind that's very similar to being on the radio every day.
Yeah.
But you don't hear us complain. You don't hear us taking days off. We've been here for as long as we possibly could. There's only two periods I've ever missed a broadcast. Number one, the suspension, obviously we talked about, and number two, you remember this very well. Back in 1989, I was reporting on the Indiana Hoosier basketball team, and Bob Knight actually threw a chair at me. I ended up, missing one day, because the hospital wouldn't release me. I said I got a show to do. That's why I don't go to the hospital anymore. I got to be here. This is my medicine. Being on the air with you, Dick.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember when Bobby threw that chair at you. That was something else. I mean, it was in the heat of the moment. He obviously apologized afterwards.
Well,
And,
afterwards,
we had a few beers and
old school men. We had a beer, we shook hands, and all was well. And a lot of times people kind of get their feelings hurt a little bit more these days. But sports are changing. But through it all, I'm glad that we're here together on the airwaves on the SAC Fly on 96.9 WFMZ, the tri-state area's top sports show.
thank you everybody for listening one more time. I hope that got you through your 4 to 5 drive. You drive back home. Hopefully, the kids are waiting at home. You can throw some ball, have a dinner, and just enjoy sports tonight. And we'll recap it tomorrow for you.
You better believe it.
All right, everybody. Have a great week, and go. Go Yankees. Come on. Go
You're trying to
Knickerbockers.
get a rise out of me right now, trying to say go Sox. Red Sox, no good. Go Yanks.
All right, buddy. It was good talking to you. I'll see you over at Tommy's.
Likewise, you better believe it. Slices on me today.
That's right. On the station, you mean.
On the station. Take care, everybody. Be careful.
Thank you to our producer Hansa, our station producer Hansa. He does an incredible
What a
job.
character.
What character? We bring him on, but he's a suspension waiting to
All
happen.
right, everybody. Hans is yelling at us through the glass. We got to get off the air.